Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be continuing the first part of this video, which was basically the beginning steps of home buying. We're going to go ahead and continue where we left off. So we were basically at the stage of finding a lender, finding a builder to build our home. Now we know exactly who we're gonna go with because they're offering us the best deal. They have great reviews, their customer service is great. You know, you found the person that you want to house your mortgage. So now it's time to see about the house. I can only tell you guys from here my process and what I did. I can throw in some tips, but again, you're going to have to do your own research and you're going to have to see what works best for you. So for me, I found my lender. I did not go through the builder's lender. I went through a separate lender. Now, because I decided to run my credit through the builder, because again, I didn't know about having to run our credit again, so I was kind of upset. I was kind of like, do I really want to run my credit again? Is it going to be worth running my credit again? So the sales consultant with the company that I went through was like, you know what, I'm going to throw in this, I'm going to throw in this, I'm going to give you a deal on this if you do go ahead and, you know, bring your credit through the lender, get the pre-approval, and the house is going to be yours. So I really liked the house. It wasn't just him persuading me, I actually liked the house. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. It's going to be the last time I run my credit. I'm not running my credit anymore. It is what it is. So I allow him to run my credit. Like 30, not even a minute, 5 minutes later, he was like, okay, we got you a pre-approval through our lender, so we're good to go. So your next step is to put your earnest money down so that we can secure your lot. So earnest money is basically stating that I want this house, I want you guys to start building this house, or I want you guys to hold this house for me. And if for whatever reason I decide that I don't want the house, or I just back out, or I don't come through, then I lose my earnest money. If for whatever reason the house falls through on the builder's end, then you get your money back. So I put down $1,000 for earnest money. It ranges anywhere between $500 to $1,000, depends on the builder, I would guess. So I went ahead and put down $1,000. That was the first time I spent money through this process. That first $1,000 was the first check that I wrote. So basically signed off on the paperwork, stated I was going to buy this house, and gave him the check. Then the process begins. It's not really that hard when it comes to the actual new build process. Now I can tell you guys on a separate video about pre-existing, because this wasn't my first home that I found, let's just say that, but we're not going to make this video about that. So then, okay, they take the money, then it's just the waiting game. Basically, you're getting in your documents to your lender if you hadn't already through the pre-approval process. But most of the time throughout the process of buying the home, you do go ahead and send over different bank statements, different paychecks for different months as you're going along. Depends on how it goes. If it's a 30-day closing, okay, cool. Then you're not having to really keep them updated because everything is still within the same time frame. However, if you're going through a building process, then you have to keep your lender updated. You have to, you know, they have to ensure that you're still an eligible borrower, I guess. And so basically I was sending over bank statements, sending over paychecks. I did end up having to run my credit again at the end, but it wasn't really, I don't think, a hard inquiry because they had already ran my credit in the beginning, but it was like that period of time where it was almost out of the time where they could use that same credit or something. I don't know. But I had a great lender. I had a great loan officer who basically walked me step by step. She would call, she would text me, she would call me, I could call her no matter what time of day. Anytime I got nervous, anytime I had a question or I questioned something, even with this COVID going on, I questioned a lot. I almost walked away, but she really kept me informed. She was very knowledgeable in her area, so I was just thrilled to have someone so knowledgeable because I was someone who didn't really know anything. So yeah, so basically we went through that whole process of just sending over documents every now and then once it got close to closing, it was time to spend some more money. So I had to write a check for an appraisal. It was $600 to get the house appraised. So basically I had to ensure that the sale of the amount the house was being sold to me for was actually worth it. It was going to appraise for that amount or more. So I ended up paying for the appraisal. Now, for your appraisal, I do not believe you can choose. No, you can shop around for appraisal, I think. But I ended up just going with the person that my loan officer suggested, and I paid the $600. They came out, they appraised the home, made sure it appraised for what they were selling it to me for, and that was the second time I spent some money on the house. So then the inspection. Now, since it was a new build, you can decide if you want to get the inspection or not. Either way, you got to pay for either way, it's going to cost you money. You can go through the lender and just get their inspection, or you're going to have to pay for an inspection. My inspection was $300, but I didn't pay for that until closing costs. It was all in my closing costs. And then as long as the inspection passes, everything goes through, now it's time for you to close. And now for my closing process, I'm sure it was a lot different from the average closing costs because of the corona and everything being on lockdown and shut down. I wasn't able to really probably get the full experience of closing. It was super fast. I thought it was going to take all day or at least a couple of hours. It didn't. It was a really fast process. Stack of documents about this thick. So I had to sign off on all of the papers. Once I signed off on the papers, basically I got the keys to go and be done after I wrote the biggest check I've ever wrote in one day in my life. But it was all worth it. It was all worth it. So I signed off on the documents. I came with my check for my down payments and any closing costs that I was responsible for, because my lender did extend help with my closing costs, thank God. So it didn't really make anything cheaper because either I was going to pay for closing costs or I was going to put more down payment. So my lender was already aware of that. But once we got to like the week of closing, pretty much got an estimate of what I needed to bring, because at that time lender already agreed to pay, my builder already had agreed to pay this amount on my closing, and then I would be bringing whatever I wanted to put down. So that is what I took to closing my portion of what I needed to close on my home. And then they had to wait for all the checks to clear. Once the check cleared, then I got the keys, and the rest is history. I did not go into detail on regards to any of the numbers or anything. That is going to be a whole separate video. I did tell you guys how much I spent on my earnings and my appraisal, but as far as like down payment and closing costs, I am going to just break that down in a separate video. I'll go through everything that costs what costs what, because things that you don't even think cost be costing too much. But yeah, that's gonna be a separate video. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's literally exactly what I went through. It's the steps that happened in my situation, and I feel like a lot of it had to do with COVID. A lot of things were done so differently because of Corona. I feel like that is, it's life, it is what it is. So my experience is probably a lot different from the next person's, which is understandable. May have missed some things, but that's really all I remember from closing, because we had masks on. It was just segregated. You were sectioned off in a room signing documents, and me and the notary, we were just was like, oh, okay, oh, that's right, okay, okay. Like, I was like, I was nervous going into it, but then I signed off on the papers, and I was like, I don't have to be here all day. Okay, good. Let's go. My check cleared, and we're ready to go. So that's pretty much it, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this two-part series. If you haven't watched the first part, make sure you go watch that. If you want to know like the beginning process of home buying and what I experienced, what I went through, what I suggest you do, then yeah, make sure you go watch part 1 of this video. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye guys.